question and answers. So please be firm to the timing. Okay, that's all I can say. I wish you all the success. Many thanks for your contributions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Professor Warlock. Yes, Dr. Norden, the stage is yours.
Well, thank you very much for this clarification. I thought I have 20 minutes, but now I realize I have 12 minutes to go, so I have to go very fast. I try to be stick to the timeline as much as possible. Well, thank you very much, moderator. The topic today is about the impact of Chinese aid to Central Asian countries. So I'm going to start in three parts. The first one about history of China's ODA. The second will be China's perception on aid giving. The last one is the impact of Chinese aid to Central Asian countries. So as far as the history of Chinese official development assistance is concerned, China's first experience starts from July 1950, 150. One Mongolian head of state asked the newly arrived Chinese ambassador about sending 12,000 skilled workers to help Mongolia build up hospitals, schools, factories, whatever necessary for the newly independent Mongolian state. So the Chinese premier, Zhou Enlai, the late premier, he responded positively to the request, and he managed three years later to send not 12,000 but 8,200 skilled workers to Mongolia. And up to 1959, China's total grant to Mongolia amounted to 160 million Russian rubles. During the same period, China's two other top donors are North Korea and Democratic Republic of Vietnam. They are the two top donors other than the Mongolia during that period. And the Chinese subsequent aid to other developing countries in Asia, such as Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, Nepal, Pakistan, Syria, and African countries such as Egypt, Ghana, Guinea, Congo, Tanzania, Zambia, Somalia, as well as the only European country, that is Albania. So this is the initial effort, and during the 1970s, and there is something happened because Chinese aid is based on ideological basis. So they grant a lot of aid to the Vietnam to support the war against the U.S. and Albania against the Russian former Soviet Union the influence. Somehow the relation became worsened during the 1970s because of the Chinese reapportionment with the United States against Soviet Union. And so they suspended the aid to Vietnam and Albania. And on the other hand, another reason for China to suspend its aid because it's a burden already to very weak Chinese economy, and it's no longer sustainable to its economy to maintain this high budget because it's hit an all-time record as high as 6.92% on Chinese national budget expenditure in 1973. And since China adopted the open door policy and the rule of Deng Xiaoping in the late 1970s, and they have to meet those domestic needs and internet obligations, which is free from the ideological concern. So they reconsidered their aid policy. There's a change in 1995. And during this period, Chinese aid modality has changed from providing completed project and giving cash money to rather than giving money and just complete all the projects, shifted to the project management, services, and the training. In other words, China has transferred aid strategy from giving fish to teaching how to catch a fish, and emphasizing the mutual benefit, reciprocity, economic benefits, and the integration of political interests. And from 1990 onwards, China has a rapid economic development, and so they adopt a new aid strategy which combines its economic development, foreign aid, in order to boost the trade and investment overseas. Chinese aid volume has increased both in terms of bilateral and multilateral aid. Meanwhile, debt relief and consensual loans become new channel of Chinese aid. So from the Xi Jinping, the president, Chinese president came office, and he's become, to change the new aid policy, which is a clear departure from the balancing approach by his predecessors, which is more assertive, which is more closely related to security, geopolitical, and geo-economic concerns. On the other hand, the launch of Belt and Road initiative, Chinese foreign aid is considered as the integral part of initiative. That's making it difficult for outsiders to distinguish the lines between the grants, loans, credits, and investment. And let's talk about the China's perception aid given. Despite China being an aid recipient country, the history of Chinese aid has proved that China has its own way of aid giving, which differs strikingly from that of the traditional donors, which is the member of OECD DAC committee. So while some of Chinese aid can be considered as defined by OECD, some of the aid deliverance carry features just direct foreign investment. Generally speaking, the purpose of Chinese aid is for the interest of developing countries in enhancing their economic development and welfare, just like traditional donors. But Chinese aid has been carried out by adhering to the 8 principles, which is proposed by the late Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai in 1964, which emphasize equality, mutual benefit, and respect to sovereignty. And I would like to move a little bit fast. This is the principles, maintained by Chinese government. Let's quickly move to the Chinese aid to Central Asian countries. Early 1990s, the disintegration of the Eastern Bloc, and we have, China had to face newly independent 5 Central Asian countries, namely Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. Immediately waste no time to establish the strong bilateral relationships. Well, the original concern of Chinese government was to solve the long-standing territorial disputes left over by the Soviet Union. Its ties of Central Asia later evolved into to cover much broader areas of cooperation, not just the territory disputes. So among the instruments applied by China to strengthen relations with Central Asian countries, aid is one of the most effective stepping stones to success. So the first step, in the 1990s, before the Chinese joined the World Trade Organization, they have a little bit developed economy. It's not very strong. So they try to, approach the Central Asian countries by providing symbolic, cash in-kind support. For example, in 1994, when the late Premier Li Peng visited the 4 Central Asian countries, he signed protocols with leaders Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan about the provision of Chinese yuan, 1.5 million in-kind aid support as a gesture of goodwill. So later on, this pattern continued as Jiang Zemin, late President China, visited the Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan in July 1996, and they also provide some money. And one, China has gradual development economy in its economy, and also the rise of Central Asia's importance as a resource-rich region. China increased its aid volume to Central Asian countries, tried to build up the strong cooperation in the fields of energy, trade, and security. So China not only increased the amount of grant, but also started to provide massive preferential government loans. For instance, China provide 20 million Chinese yuan cash support to Tajikistan, while giving Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan 100 million Chinese yuan each for preferential loans. From June 2001 onwards, within the framework of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, China expanded its aid to Central Asia and provided a large amount of preferential export bias credits. For example, at the 2004 at this Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit in Tashkent, China proposed to member countries $900 million preferential bias credit in total. the then Chinese President Hu Jintao signed with Uzbek counterpart 10 documents, including agreement on $2.4 million worth assist package and concession Chinese credit line of 36.5 million US dollar for 20 years. So after Xi Jinping took office, he launched the Belt and Road Initiative. He further integrated China's aid to Central Asia by signing multi-billion-dollar agreements on the provision of investment and concession loans in the 4 Central Asian capitals that he visited subsequently. So the major projects, let's come to the major projects which has been put forward by the China. So within context, mostly infrastructure-related multi-million-dollar projects, such as the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Highway, the China-Tajikistan Expressway, the China-Kazakhstan crude oil pipeline, and the China-Central Asian gas pipeline. So within the framework of Belt and Road Initiative, China supported development of Trans-Caspian International Transport Corridor, enhancing the traffic capacity of China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Highway and the China-Tajikistan-Uzbekistan Highway, and the pushing forward the consultations of China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan Railway. These endeavors have clearly demonstrated that China's aid to Central Asian countries is motivated, apart from political incentives, by the quest for energy security. By establishing these gas and oil pipelines and building new roads, China not only aims to support its goals of regional security and energy supply, but also to guarantee safe transportation of Chinese and Central Asian goods. So according to Chinese sources, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan are the main destination of China's official development assistance within the context of Central Asia, of which over 50% went to Uzbekistan, while Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan received 40% in total. Sino-Uzbek technical and economic cooperation projects used to concentrate on healthcare, education, agriculture, water and transport, but the most recent Chinese unconditional $40 million worth grant to Uzbekistan is expected to finance energy and agriculture-related social projects. As China's aid is government to government, China has been carefully cultivating high-level personal friendships with those in charge so as to advance its long-term economic and security interests in Central Asia. As Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan are the 2 weakest economies in Central Asia, they are more vulnerable to political upheavals. Therefore, China's aid to these 2 countries is especially designed to meet the needs of local elites, who in turn defend China's interests whenever needed by mitigating public sentiments against rising Chinese influence. So in the case of Kyrgyzstan, China provided nearly $400 million grant between 2013 2017, which was used to construct mega projects such as the Congress Hall, guest houses in Ala-Acha State Residence, provision of 1,205 tractors and renovations of Bishkek roads, etc. China also wrote off the Kyrgyz debt for the loan given for the construction of a paper factory. So despite frequent region changes in Kyrgyzstan, China always managed to come to terms with the new ruling elite by providing tailor-made substantial aid, which was desperately needed by the new Kyrgyz administration to hold on to the power. As the new administration after region change is always made up of seasoned Kyrgyz politicians, China has no difficulty adapting to the new situation. Indeed, China's consistent efforts of building up interpersonal relations with politicians through gift-giving helped China survive numerous political uncertainties. So last month, in case of Tajikistan, the total volume of Chinese aid to Tajikistan amounted to roughly $1.8 billion from 2005 to 2017. China's aid are mostly in the form of loans, reaching around $1.5 billion, already to compose 50% of total public debt of Tajikistan. So within the context of Belt and Road Initiative, China has offered Tajik government a grant of $360 million for upgrading the highway from Kulop to Bokhtar. Some analysts believe that this grant might contain hidden conditions such as the mining concessions, tax exemption for Chinese firms, as well as donation of agricultural land. Some critics of Belt and Road Initiative even claimed that China's owns the grounds would not bring genuine development for Tajikistan and turn it into an aid-dependent country once the Belt and Road Initiative is completed. As mentioned before, there is collision between Chinese firms and Tajik elite interests. So moreover, to strengthen leader-to-leader friendship, China also spent large amount of money to construct roads, schools, and reservoir in the region where current Chinese Tajik president was born. So to conclude, despite China's massive aid program in the Central Asian region, public sentiment towards China in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan demonstrate a steady decline, according to the Central Asian Barometer survey. Within Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, respondents have shown an increasing negative view of China from 2017 to 2021. The reason for that attitude involved depressive political situation in the region, influx of Chinese workers and technologies, as well as concern of over-reliance on investments from China. All these factors contribute to the unfavorable image of China, and the Central Asians remain suspicious of China. So to conclude, it seems that China's aid has paid off in Central Asia in general, and in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan in particular, according to facts and figures. However, there is a discrepancy in attitudes towards China between the local people and the ruling elite as far as China's aid is concerned. So last sentence, this complex view underscores the need for the leaders of Central Asian countries to handle their relationship with China cautiously and strike a balance between economic gains and national interests. In other words, they must also consider the potential risks associated with deepening their engagement with China and remain mindful of their people's sentiment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nurdun. It's very interesting and very important issue. So I would like to ask all the participants if there is any question on this topic. Yes, Mr. Sarah.
Yes. Okay. I have a question, two questions. First, I think there's a different perception between the Central Asian public and the Central Asian political elite on China and Chinese investment. And for example, several years ago in Kazakhstan, because of the government trying to rent land to Kazakh land to Chinese company, people riot happened in Kazakhstan, and also when we are looking at the Central Asian Barometers survey, a survey showing that people are worrying about, or people are worrying about the Chinese investment, Chinese presence in Central Asia. Can you elaborate that part? The second one is yes, China has investment. For example, one investment, China provided financial assistance to Kyrgyz government to renovating the power plant in Bishkek, this test power plant. But there was huge corruption, and the corruption case happened. And when the government changed, the new government put the arrested former, including prime minister and some representatives who signed this agreement. And how is China seeing that corruptions in Central Asia, especially when Chinese money use? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your very good questions. Those are the well, as I mentioned, in Central Asia, the China has energy concerns and security concerns. I don't want to talk too much about security concerns because we all know what it's all about. So the Chinese money is spent in the first 10 years, first 20 years, it's more about security concerns. Now they realize they have rich energy resources, and since security concerns, no more the concern for Chinese government. And they have, as I mentioned, I gave you the case about Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, they have cultivated so close relation with the top leaders, political elite. So they have no problem to survive. Whatever the political regime changes, doesn't matter, because the same elite keep ruling the country for the last 30 years. So it doesn't matter whoever in power. So the aid, Chinese aid, is not transparent about those protocols, agreements. It's not transparent as far as I know. So people has little knowledge about what's going on. But the Kyrgyz media is very outspoken. So that's why you have seen many region changes in Kyrgyzstan for several times, because the public, there is kind of awareness among the Kyrgyz public. And as you mentioned about the power plant case in Bishkek, you know, there is a breakdown in the power plant in the wintertime in Kyrgyzstan. That's why they prompted the government of Kyrgyzstan to arrest the previous prime minister and put him to jail, because there's kind of corruption charges against him during their cooperation with China's money. And so this has led to the kind of cool relation between China as covered for some time, because the Jin Baekov, the previous president, had a difficult time to mend the gap left behind the previous government, because they have to put the prime minister to jail. And that's why this kind of irritated the Chinese government. So they have to try to restore the relationship. It took some time, but it's not a long time for them to come back again, because the China understand the big interest much more important. So they try to ignore those little minor problems, like the power plant breakdown problem. And well, the China understand, because the previous government, as far as I know, the son of the Bakiev, I remember, he was the chief of the Kyrgyz the delegation, and he was given a low level receiving while visiting China, because China is a little bit irritated by the nepotism in Kyrgyzstan, but they have to come to terms with this is the tradition of some Central countries. So as I said, doesn't matter. I mean, the big picture is more important for China, as you can see from the Belt and Road Initiative. And this energy concern and the road, if you look up, if you study those roads, build up the railways, those investment in the gas, the pipelines, whatever, it is all more or less concerned, associated with Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. So this is the main concern of Chinese government. So it doesn't matter whatever the money is spent. They can't even forget about the money spent if it's somehow just disappeared in the during the investment. That doesn't matter, because they understand the big picture. The big interest is energy and for the Belt and Road Initiative. So it's not difficult. It's they have used to the regime changes in the situation. Those countries have different traditions. Because we have little time, so I have to concentrate on the two countries, one is Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. And for Kazakhstan, there's another case. Uzbekistan, different case. Turkmenistan, another case. If I tackle each case by case, it will take a lot of time. So I just narrow down like this to two countries. And I don't know whether I answered the question or not, but it's so easy for China to implement their projects, programs, whatever. So they have very good cooperation between the elite and the Chinese government. For the people, well, it's not easy. They have a public sentiments against the Chinese investments, because there are a lot of Chinese workers moving in, and the kind of agricultural land kind of acquired by China for certain years use. So they have to strike a balance for the elite for the part in the Kyrgyz, for the Tajik. They have to be very cautious. Otherwise, there is kind of public uprising as the case of Kyrgyzstan, So they have a strike balance. They are very cautious. Now China has his way, own way of giving aid, giving investment, but it's going fine. The past 30 years investment has paid off. We have to agree that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your elaboration and clarifying. And yeah, it's a very important issue that China is a main contributor of the Central Asia policy. So it's very important what you had presented us. Thank you very much again for your information that presented us. Now we are gonna move on with your permission to Gunel Aliyeva Mammadova is going to present us the main directions of Turkey's policy in the South Caucasus at the present stage. So the stage is yours. Welcome.
Good day. Yes, my name is Mammadova Gunel, and my topic is the main directions of Turkey's policy in the South Caucasus at the present stage. Turkey's policy has an ever-increasing influence on the West Eurasian space at the present stage, thanks to the new directions in the Turkey's foreign policy. The foundation of the country's multi-vector policy are being developed, which is very important for all Muslim countries. It can be said with the confidence that in the current political conditions, Turkey is increasingly strengthening its position not only in the region, but also beyond its borders, which makes it possible to create a multipolar world in the post-pandemic era. Turkey's role and significance in the heartland is increasing day by day. The Caspian, Black, Mediterranean, Red Sea, and Persian Gulf is the key to exercising territorial and economic control over Eurasia. And we know that during our war, the 44 Patriotic War, showed that the far-sighted policy of Turkey, the main goal of which is to establish stability not only on its territory, but also on the territory of all Muslim states. We know that the 44 Patriotic War became a golden page in the history, opened the golden page in the history of Azerbaijan, which opened a new era for entire region, not only for us, for our country. The beginning of clarifying the state of Turkey's modern foreign policy was laid by Ahmet Davutoglu in 2016 with his zero problem project with neighbors. We know what Turkey became active actor or Western European ideas in the post-Soviet region after the collapse of Soviet power, a country whose policy in a new country was actively supported by the United States in the 90s of the 20th century. Today, moments our adversary was for the White House. Also, firstly, official Ankara has set itself up as an older brother in the Middle East. For example, when started Arab Spring, using the Islamic factor for this and declaring itself the leader of the Sunni Ummah in the region. In accordance with the principles formulated by the founder of the Republic of Turkey, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, peace in the country, peace in the world, Turkey leads an active foreign policy to resolve conflicts in the Middle East. In this regard, the South Caucasus occupy, for example, a special position for modern Turkey. Turkey's policy in the South Caucasus plays an important role, as the region of it is for particular importance in the strategy of Western countries. The peculiarity of Turkey's policy is a multilateral and flexible policy, which includes both economic integration, energy cooperation, and the soft and effective policy, including cultural interaction based on the ethnic and linguistic similarities. Turkey's relation with with Georgia at strategic partnership level. Turkey has been the biggest trade partner of Georgia since 2007 and among the leading investor countries to Georgia. In accordance with the protocol signed on May 31, 2011, and which entered into force on 10 November 2011, Turkish and Georgian citizens are able to travel each other's countries with their national identity documents. The importance of Georgia for Turkey can't be overestimated, and also the development of relations with Turkey helps Georgia to strengthen its independence. On the other hand, after the closure of Turkish-Armenian border, Georgia has become for Turkey a gateway to the South Caucasus and further to Central Asia. The best symbol of this logical action is the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan oil pipeline. The return of the war to the region in 2008 demonstrated the persistence of serious risks associated with the functioning of the West-East-West or West-East transit and the construction of a transport corridor through the territory of Georgia. On 9 November 1991, Turkey became the first state to recognize the Republic of Azerbaijan, which declared its independence on 30 August 1991. It's important for us, and the diplomatic relations were established on 14 January 1992, and the Consulate General in Baku was upgraded to embassy level. Turkey has also two consulates general in Nakhchivan and in Ganja, while Azerbaijan is represented by its embassy in Ankara and two consulates general in Istanbul and Kars. Turkey's relation with Azerbaijan now at a strategic level. Frequent high-level contacts are the main driving force of bilateral relations. It became a tradition that high-level officials visit each other's countries immediately after assuming the office or in the wake of developments with symbolic importance. One of the main trends in Turkey's foreign policy towards this region, South Caucasus, now what is relations with Azerbaijan. The 44-day war suit the far-sighted policy of Turkey, the main goal of which is to establish, as I said, stability not only on its territory, but also in the territory of all Muslim states, also in our country. Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that in one of his speeches, he said that the time has come to put an end to the crisis in the region, which began with the occupation of Nagorno-Karabakh. And the president also stated that as soon as Armenia immediately leaves the territory it has occupied, peace and harmony will return to the region. That's why Turkey, it's the important country for us in our foreign policy too. At the summit of the Economic Cooperation Organization, President of Azerbaijan Ilham Aliyev said about Turkey's role in the region and in the world, and he said that Turkey is our brother, Turkey is our great ally. The Azerbaijani people are very happy to have such an ally as Turkey. And Turkish peoples as well. I am sure many in the world are well aware of the historical role of President Erdogan, not only in turning Turkey into one of the most important power centers in the world, but also in ensuring regional security. Turkey plays a very important role in ensuring security and stability in West region. I have spoken about this more than once before. I want to say it again. A strong Turkey means a strong Azerbaijan and all other allies. Really, also speaking at the victory parade, our president Ilham Aliyev said that the first hours of the beginning of the patriotic war, we felt support of Turkey. Erdogan supported the position of Azerbaijan from the first ours, now think that our cause is just. And what's why he said that my brother said that Azerbaijan is right in this war. Azerbaijan is not alone, and that Turkey is always next to Azerbaijan. This is an example of our unity, our brotherhood. Also, we know that many countries are frightened by even the thought of the integration process that have begun in the Turkic world. We know that it's another important moment in Turkey's foreign policy at the present stage. And the fact that is that the idea of uniting of Turkic countries frightens of the countries of the West and the United Secrets, because it's not secret to anybody. And the city was surrounded by 7 walls of gold, silver, steel, bronze, iron, glass, and ceramics. They, all these countries now at the present stage tried to introduce new area, to unite all these countries, Turkic countries. We believe that the signing of Shusha Declaration of a particular importance on the way to the creation of the Great Turan, and it reflects the comprehensive ability of the Turkic state to cooperate with each other, despite the fact that the declaration was signed between the republics of Turkey and Azerbaijan at the level of presidents of the 2 countries on June 2021. It became a call not only in the region, but also for its important all Turkic countries. The Secretary General of the Turkic Council, Baghdad Emirate, he gave a high assessment of the Shusha Declaration for the entire Turkic world. He stated that as Secretary General of the Turkic Council, I welcome the signing of in 2021 of the Shusha Declaration on allied relations between the Republic of Azerbaijan and the Republic of Turkey in the city of Shusha, one of the ancient cradles of Turkic culture. And Erdogan, and we also believe that it's Ankara and not only Moscow or Washington that should play a primary role in the matters of foreign policy in the Middle East, especially in close countries that were once part of the Turkic world. Turkey's policy has an ever increasing influence on the West Eurasian space, as was said. That's why, for example, modern Turkey as the leading country, not only in the region, not only for region countries, but perhaps for all Muslim world, for all Muslim countries, and also considering the growing role of Turkey's policy in the Eurasian space, in many respects, further development of events in Eurasia. I believe it will depend on how deeply and correctly the United States of America will assist the Turkey's presence in the region. Also, strength of Turkey, South Caucasus led to the weakening of Russia and Iran, increasing the effectiveness and of instruments of influence on the process taking place both in the South Caucasus and also in other regions where Russia and the United States have dominant interests generally before it. Also, the USA counter pressure on Turkey as it was in the 1990s of the 20th century. Transformation of Turkey into a powerful force capable of commanding not only the but also the entire Islamic world, becomes a real threat to the West and the United States in the New World order. And we come to the conclusion that at the present stage, Turkey is increasingly strengthening its position not only in the region, but also beyond its borders, which makes it possible to create a multipolar world in the new grid game in the era of post-pandemic, and turns Turkey into one of the active players in all these processes. Thank you for attention.
Okay, thank you very much, Günel Aliyeva Muhammedova. This topic is also an interesting. Today's our session has very interesting topics, and this Azerbaijan issue on Turkey's policy is the another one that is very important. So I would like to ask my participants if there is any question on that. Okay, do we have any question to Günel Aliyeva Muhammedova?
Not at all.
Okay, if there is, yeah. Mr. Sarı, it seems you have a question.
Thank you for presentation. Definitely, we clearly know Turkey's relation Azerbaijan and also Turkey's relation Armenia. But Turkey's relation in Georgia is the different case, even though Turkey and Georgia has a strategic partnership agreement. And recently, Georgian government developed trying to develop close relation with Russia, even though they have border issues. Do you think that this, if Georgia develop close relation with Russia and starting the keeping away itself from the NATO and the European Union, will affect Turkey's policy related to Georgia?
Thank you for your question. Yes, I'm sure that, as I said, Turkey today really have an increasing policy and strengthening position of Turkey really affected on policy also Georgia. It's related on Georgia and Russia relations too, I'm sure, because Turkey really not only brotherhood country for us. It's really the biggest country and had important role in all events, in all directions of generally world policy, international policy in the world for all countries. Generally, in the South Caucasus, as we know, these two countries, Georgia and Turkey, had close connection at the present stage in a lot of directions, in economy, in culture, in sciences, etc. That's why really all these events, all these positions of Turkey really affect in relations of these two countries. Maybe, for example, not only at the present stage, in future and before it. Generally, we know about, for example, now difficult position of Russia at the present stage in policy, in international policy. That's why all these moments led increasing of Turkey's position in the South Caucasus, not only for us, because we, as was said, build our Azerbaijan and Turkey build relations in other directions. We are brotherhood countries. These two countries is one country. We know about it, but Georgia and Russia, Georgia and Turkey also has close connection in all spheres, and Turkey really has the biggest sphere of influence in Georgia too.
Okay, I would like to thank you for your contribution, Mr. Sarı, and thank you for your information that you presented us, Günel Aliyeva Muhammedova. So I would like to move on Faisal Bane on the topic of Turkey humanitarian. Yeah, welcome, Faisal Bana. And the topic is Turkey's humanitarian diplomacy. So the stage is yours. Please go on.
Good morning, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah. You can go on.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Good morning, respected chair of the session. Good morning, participant, co-presenters. First of all, my heartfelt condolences to the people who died in the natural disaster of Turkish earthquake, and the solidarity from India to the people of Turkey in this unfortunate disaster which happened a few months ago. Yes, my paper actually I'm focusing on into this area only, humanitarian diplomacy and Turkey. Turkish humanitarian diplomacy, how it as a contribution to the international affairs, as a role model to the international affairs. We know humanitarian diplomacy, it focuses on the humanitarian crisis solving. In the entire world, we have seen the crisis after crisis happening, whether it is in Syria, whether it is in Somalia, whether it is in Myanmar, and in different African countries. So the diplomacy, as we talk about, it's directly focusing on how it is centered around crisis management, this humanitarian crisis management, whether giving them shelter, whether giving them food, medicine, basic education, all the basic infrastructure. That is we call humanitarian diplomacy. In this paper, I'll be focusing on how Turkey used humanitarian diplomacy as a global model to the world. We have seen humanitarian diplomacy actually as being used around the world as a multilateral purpose. Basically, it will be coordinated by some of the different organization, governmental and non-governmental organization, mainly coordinated by United Nations. But Turkey here giving a bilateral importance for humanitarian diplomacy. That is actually significant and unique here. Apart from this multilateral approach, Turkey is giving a bilateral approach to the humanitarian diplomacy matter. Turkey is directly giving the aid to different countries where they are ravaged with different war crises, natural disasters, economic crises. So Turkey here intervening a one-to-one intervention, rather bringing any of international organization, rather bringing any kind of non-governmental organization. Turkey directly intervening in these particular issues, through which Turkey is able to give financial support as well as moral support to the people who are facing this crisis. And Turkey, we know, have intervened in countries like Somalia, where after crisis which is going on, they are giving developmental initiative, developmental assistance, basic infrastructure development, even training to the legislators, training to the different technician and technology, giving technological assistance to Somalia. And Turkey always stood as a first partner for intervening in these issues, particularly as we take an example from Africa, that is Somalia. And when we come back to Asian countries, Turkey has enormously supported Bangladesh by how to coordinate and how to maintain and how to support refugees from Myanmar, Rohingya refugees from Myanmar. Turkey has spent a lot of money. Turkey has gave a lot of relief materials, and Turkey has carried out training to the people who are coordinating the relief camps in Bangladesh. And we know it's just not a matter of hosting people. When a crisis happens, it's not just a matter of hosting people. It is giving them food, shelter, and all kind of facilities. And last week, I happened to see an interview of Bangladeshi President Sheikh Hasina. She was telling, we have given enough support to the Rohingya refugees. Now it is time to go back. Rohingya refugees. It is the time to go back for the Rohingya refugees back to Myanmar. But the condition in Myanmar is very brutal. Still, civil war is going on in Myanmar. It's a neighboring country to India, and we are actually listening daily news from our neighboring country, Myanmar. Huge humanitarian crisis is going in Myanmar. So it's very doubtful how these Rohingya refugees will go back Bangladesh. So this in this parallel political order which is going on in the other part of the world, we can take Turkey as an example, which is giving a great aid in Bangladesh to help and to assist the people of Rohingyans who migrated, forced to migrate from Myanmar because of this ethnic violence. And here in Bangladesh also, they're doing the
çektiği araçları koyduğu otobanka çok yakın. Yani belki geçerken gördüler birilerini rahatlar alalım bu arabayı. Tabii o hemen aslında arıyor biliyorsun yani arabanın önünde. Da orada yok gözükmüyor yani.
Oktay hocam sesiniz geliyor. Sorry. Mr. Bilgin. Bülent hocam sesi geliyor Oktay hocam.
I'm gonna close this microphone. Okay. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, you can go on, Bana. Mr. Bana.
Is it everything okay, sir? Everything okay?
Okay, everything is okay.
Thank you, sir. So in parallel to this political crisis ongoing in the Asian part of the world, we can see and scientifically analyze with the data, Turkey is well maintaining and well managing Syrian refugees in Turkey, around 3.7 million refugees in Turkey. We cannot even imagine that. It's more than the population of Qatar, the country Qatar, and they are giving all the support, relief materials, giving great hospitality, giving health facilities, giving basic education, everything. So this is the setup which Turkey is. This is the model Turkey which is giving to the world. See, this is the humanitarian involvement you have to do, rather creating humanitarian crisis in the world. Just like while America continuously attacking Iraq in the name of mass destruction weapon, Turkey is actually giving a great set of model to the world how we have to deal a humanitarian crisis. They're hosting these many people in their country. They are contributing part of their world for the welfare and the well-being of the refugees in Turkey. So this is the humanitarian an example Turkey giving to the global political order. You have to learn from us. You have to learn from us. And Turkey coming to the Afghanistan. When we take the issue in Afghanistan, Turkey was the first country to intervene in the crisis which is even now ongoing in Afghanistan, to intervene in there and to send their relief material to help the people of Afghanistan. Even right now, Turkey is helping. So a different part of the world, the intervention of Turkey in the name of humanitarian diplomacy, it's unimaginably working in different part of the world. And Turkey has contributed and it has topped first rank in humanitarian aid to the world when according to the Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs under UN OCHA. In its report 2022, 2021, 2020. When we analyze the data from that, after United States of America, Turkey ranked second. Sometimes Turkey came in the first rank. And while we're reading articles and publications on that, they say that we cannot count Turkey as first in this humanitarian aid, because they are giving shelter and to the refugees from Syria. So we cannot count it as a humanitarian aid. That is what some few Western scholars analyze. But I don't think, in my analysis, I don't think it's an idea to put forward, because you are giving part of your land, you are giving your water, you are giving food, you are giving part of your revenue, and one side some of the countries creating great wall on their border and stopping people's migration to their countries, and they are talking about this aid which Turkey is giving to their neighboring countries cannot be evaluated and cannot be calculated. So that is the political rhetoric we can see over here. And moving on, Turkey also intertwined in this Ukraine war issue, and the first world, entire world, including India, we were looking forward how Turkey is going to intervene in this issue. And Turkey has named as a peacemaker in the region, and the Turkish government is close with the Russian Federation as well as the Western political power centers. So they were trying to be the peacemakers, they're trying to be the mediators. So there also Turkish political power position come, and it's not all of a sudden created. It's created since many years. Turkey intervened all these kind of humanitarian issues, and they gave the support, and they got the consciousness of international political society. They got the political consent of the international society. And Turkey, moreover, actually Turkish Red Crescent also parallelly working to give an idea to the world that Turkey is with the people of the world and its neighboring countries, whether it is in Central Asia, West Asia, and in other part of Asia and Latin America. Even in Latin America, Turkey is having its humanitarian assistance. So it's not just about Turkish idea of diplomacy. Here we have to take it in three levels. But it is in economical level, it's in political level, it's on realistic international political order level. For example, in economical level, Turkey is with the influence among the people of Latin America and Africa. Turkey is getting open up their local market. Turkey is gradually enhancing their economy by investing in Latin American countries as well as in Africa. So this public consciousness helping Turkey to boost their economy in parallel with this humanitarian diplomacy. And Turkey parallelly bringing the idea of neo-Ottomanism concept. Here, this is what I wanted to specifically put forward in this presentation. The concept of neo-Ottomanism, Turkey, with this humanitarian diplomacy, it is integrating with the idea of neo-Ottomanism, just like our previous presenter presented the paper, the brotherhood of Azerbaijan and Turkey, like that. It is creating a kind of Turkish brotherhood, bringing back the old glory, the old idea of Turkish civilization. We were up to this, our geography was up to here, and our cultural values are this much important. So bringing different elements to enhance Turkey's cultural old glory, to bring back the Ottoman nostalgia, to bring back to the international realm of that particular area. For example, to substantiate this example to the Honorable Chair, I will put forward how the Turkish series as a soft power, Turkish movie series, how it is influencing in the Islamic political world, even in India, how it is working. I am hailing from Indian state of Kerala. We speak Malayalam, the local language Malayalam here. Even in a small state of in my state, Turkish series called Dirilis Ertugrul being translated, and our this people in Kerala watching that. Just imagine how deep-rooted and penetrated the soft power policy of Turkey in recent years as you reached into the global arena. from Turkey to this small state, southern state of India, if it has reached in their own local language, even in Nigerian local language, in Pakistani Urdu local language, it has been translated. So parallelly with the humanitarian diplomacy, Turkey is trying to bring that old arena of Ottoman thoughts as well. So we cannot just say that it is political as well as economical. This is a kind of ideological enhancement of Turkish foreign policy. My PhD thesis also, I am actually focusing on this concept, neo-Ottomanism and change in Turkish foreign policy. So this humanitarian diplomacy is also a part of gaining Turkey's old position, power position in an international political order, and gaining Turkey's influence, the glorious influence Turkey had in earlier time. And here I would I will conclude my presentation by giving a few examples. Around 110 countries helped Turkey during earthquake. Devastated time. 110 countries contributed their relief material. They sent their troops to help. Even from India, India sent its air force and send relief materials to Turkey. So it's actually a giving back. Turkey also giving an example and model to the world, that if you are giving right now to others, right now, when you are in distress, you will get back, because Turkey enormously helped different countries across the world. That's why when Turkey was in distress, it was unprecedented kind of help flowed into Turkey from different parts of the world, including relief material. In India, even set up a medical temporary hospital in the devastated area. So it is just like humanitarian diplomacy will work not only in favor of that country, particularly in international political realm. It's also when we are in extreme stress, these all help which we give, it will come back. And Turkey here giving a great example to the political world. Though the criticism is there, Turkish President Erdogan is trying to bring the ideas and values of neo-Ottomanism. Though that criticism is being there, this is also standing as an example. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Bana, thank you for your presentation. And I would like to ask my participants if there are any questions. Okay. If we don't have any questions, I would like to ask one. So can you just help me understand that considering the current economic conditions of Turkey, do you think that this not only Turkey but the global economic conditions? So do you think that Turkey's humanitarian support to the countries is it sustainable in your consideration?
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this question. When we analyze this economic crisis which is going on across the world, it's in Turkey, even in America, in Europe, different countries which is going on. Right now, in this current economic and political order, it will be a bit difficult for Turkey and even all other countries to contribute too much into the world humanitarian aid. And because of Ukrainian war, majority of the countries going on this crisis. So it for first this coming 1 or 2 years, it will be a crisis. It's a question mark, right? Exactly, sir said right now. It's a question mark how much they can contribute in coming years. Yeah, that's a question, because Erdogan has to address the economic crisis which is going on in Turkey as well. And the opposition parties actually criticizing about this extreme expenditure. Even the main opponent presidential candidate, he was also sometimes making the comments against this refugee management. Yeah, so it's future, it's coming future, it's in question. Yeah.
Okay. Again, thank you very much for your presentation and contribution. I appreciate the information you presented us. And now we are going to move on to the next topic with Professor Iqbal Agayev on the topic of title with the interest of the states of the region in the opening of the Zangezur corridor. Professor? Hello? Professor Iqbal Agayev? Agayev? Is he here? Okay. I don't think that we have Iqbal Agayev, professor. So if he comes, then we can take him to the session. But if it's possible that we can go on with Pallavi Beriha. Mr. Beriha, are you available for this?
Yes, sir, I'm available. And sir, am I visible? Like my camera? I don't know. I have switched it on, switched it off many times. But like, is it visible? No.
Okay, I can barely hear you.
Oh. Sorry, is it audible now?
Yeah, it's better. It's much better.
Better. Okay, sir. So am I visible? I don't think so.
I can't see you. Yeah, I can't see you.
Oh.
Okay, Mr. Beriha. So. Okay, we are waiting for Mrs. Beriha. Okay, so for the better time management, maybe we should go with Gudyan Bettina until Pallavi Beriha adjust connection. Gudyan, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes. Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning. I think I will listen to more with these items.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your showing up, for your flexibility.
Thank you.
And your presence here. Okay, then we should move on with you in the topic of impact of global tax policy program on the geographics of Central Asia and Caucasus, which is very interesting, and I'm very excited to hear your presentation. Welcome, and the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Only I would like to ask 1 minute, because it was immediately situation that I have a presentation. So I try to share my presentation.
Okay, we're good.
Just a moment. Yes, maybe you can see my presentation.
Yeah, I can clearly see your presentation. Very good, Doctor.
Okay. So my pleasure to greet you, and thank you for the opportunity to attend these conferences. My name is Bettina Gutján, and I am a PhD student at the Eötvös Loránd University Department of Modern and Contemporary World History. During my research, I focus on the economic, political, and social effects of India tax policy decisions. But let's not forget, but at the same time, the processes initiated due to global taxation trends also affect other countries of the world. I am currently looking for an answer to how global tax laws and cooperation initiatives, international organization affect the geopolitics of Central Asia and Caucasus. During my current presentation, I will first talk the elements of the international tax reform of the Belt and Road Initiative, tax administration cooperation mechanism, and then the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. All of these draw your attention how global taxation has become geopolitics, has become a soft power in international politics and its impact on the geopolitics of Central Asia and Caucasus. In the September 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced the Silk Road economic belt, which is the mainland part of the One Belt, One Road initiative in a speech at Nazarbayev University in Kazakhstan. In the framework of which China would rebuild Asia, Africa, and Europe with overland trade routes based on the model of historical Silk. The network of large-scale infrastructure investment pays special attention to trade and investment cooperation, and the development of cultural and people-to-people relations. Taxation is defending part of the trade and investment cooperation. The Belt and Road Initiative Tax Cooperation Conferences is jointly hosted by the State Revenue Commission of the Republic of Kazakhstan, the State Tax Administration of the Republic of China, the OECD Central for Tax Policy and Tax Administration, and the OECD Tax Administration Forum. In the May to 2018 was held in Astana, Kazakhstan. The event was attended by more than 200 delegates from 50 tax jurisdictions. At the conferences, the Astana proposal was presented, which called for the official establishment of the tax administration cooperation mechanism of Belt and Road Initiative, and dealt with 4 aspects of tax cooperation. Firstly, rule of law, taxpayer; second, taxpayer services; third, efficient and effective dispute resolutions, settlement mechanism. Britacom was established in this year. This map shows that the sea and land routes of BRI touch 3 continents and many countries. Based on analysis published by the World Bank in 2018, in 2017, these economics received 35% of global foreign direct investment and accounted for 40% of world merchandise exports. The Belt and Road Initiative Tax Administration Cooperation Mechanism is a non-profit official mechanism for tax administration cooperation amongst the jurisdictions that subscribe to the Belt and Road Initiative. It is operated on the basis of respecting sovereignty and laws of all participating jurisdictions. The vision of the Britacom is to facilitate trade and investment, foster economic growth of the BRI jurisdictions, and contribute to the fulfillment of inclusive and sustainable development as set out in the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. The Britacom aims to contribute to building a growth-friendly tax environment through cooperation and sharing of best practices in following rule of law, raising tax certainty, expanding tax dispute resolution, improving taxpayer service, and enhancing tax capacity building. The Britacom consists of the Council, the Secretariat, the Belt and Road Initiative, Tax Administration Cooperation Forum, and the Belt and Road Initiative, Tax Administration Capacity Enhancement Group. This table shows that Council members of Britacom, among them are several Central Asian and Caucasian countries, such as Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Tajikistan, which I have framed in red. The Belt and Road Initiative Tax Academic organizes online sources for tax office employees of BRI member. And I am lucky because I was several online courses of this academy, and not only for the members of BRI, but of course the observer countries and tax authorities have opportunity to participate for these courses. And within this framework, the countries share their knowledge and practices on topics such as administration and digitalization, tax environment and taxpayer services, tax system, tax cooperation. Of course, one of the most important topic the VAT reform and how they can improve the taxpayer service. The other important elements of international taxation nowadays is the OECD BEPS framework. The OECD and G20 inclusive framework on BEPS is a two-pillar plan to reform international tax rules and ensure that multinational companies pay their fair share of taxes wherever they operate. Under Pillar 1, which is designed to ensure a fairer distribution of taxing rights among jurisdictions over the largest and most profitable multinational enterprises. Pillar 2 introduces a global minimum corporate tax rate set at 15%. The new minimum tax rate will apply to companies with revenue above 750 million euro. When I wrote my abstract to apply for these conferences, only 128 countries had joined the BEPS program. According to information published on the 19th of June 2023, Uzbekistan will join international efforts against tax fraud and tax evasion by joining the OECD BEPS framework. At the end of last year, Azerbaijan made the same decisions. The table shows the countries of Central Asia and Caucasus that are members and not members of OECD BEPS project. The common goal of the BRI and the OECD BEPS programs is to create global tax certainty. For globally operating companies, tax certainty is essential as uncertain tax rules, especially on controversial issues, have a negative impact on cross-border investments. Tax certainty can be increased with tax policy and regulation, which the tools of which are common international rules, conventions, and the same definitions and methods for determining the tax base. Furthermore, by simplifying the administration relate to taxation, for which digitalization is a great help. Last but not least, in setting tax disputes and the resolution, of the tax disputes. China actively participated in the development of Pillar 1 of the OECD BEST project, and China started to find a good place and these international tax rules, how they can create. And furthermore, China has made efforts to reduce the bureaucracy of its own tax administration, and therefore increase tax certainty in BRI. With the establishment of Belt and Road Initiative Tax Academy, it has become an important forum for international knowledge sharing. And it has established a wide network of tax treaties. It currently has 112 tax treaties of China. To facilitate tax matters along with the BRI, the BRI has launched a featured web page on which it published legalizations, guidelines, and reports applicable to Chinese companies that embark upon outbound investment projects under the BRI. On the web page, it has published 59 countries specific taxation guidelines, introducing the business environment and tax system of the relevant countries and the Chinese tax policies. We can find also this website. On my presentation, you can see the opening page of this website. And yes, I think it's we can share the question that this activity of China maybe become a soft power in the international tax policy throughout the actively participating this international project and throughout the knowledge sharing of BRITAC Edge and BRITACOM and the BRITACOM Tax Academy. And well, my conclusions that taxation has become a key part of the international economy in recent years, and because of the COVID and because of the increase of the digital trade and online trade and the digitalization. And tax certainty is crucial for foreign investment because of the foreign investment, investor can calculate with the tax paying, and therefore the question arises that if the countries of the Central Asia and the Caucasus do not join the OECD BEPS project, that the tax certainty of these countries may become questionable, I think. And for the foreign investors, and also the influences of the BRI can be linked to China, which can be a risk for the Western investors also. And China takes an active role in shaping international tax issues. And one of my most important conclusion that the international taxation became a soft power in international global economy policy. And thank you for the attention.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. And there are good findings. And thank you very much again for your sharing your findings in your dissertation, I think, with us. So that's a technical and very important issue. So another perspective of understanding the cooperation and solidarity between these Central Asia countries. So thank you again for your presentation. And I would like to ask my participants if there are any questions. Okay, as far as I can see, there is no question here.
Professor Blunt, I have a question.
Yes,
Cüneyt Akalın, to Ms. Bestina. I'm not sure. Did Hungary already participate to Road and Belt Initiative?
No, our country is an observer country of BRI. So this is the reason that the employees of National Tax and Customs Administration can apply for this courses, online courses of BRI or Britacon.
Yeah, is there an interest among people as far as the Road and Belt Initiative is concerned in Hungary? I mean, of course.
Yes, I think it's a big question for of the people that how the Hungary organize the relationships with China nowadays many times. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. It's not only China. I mean, it's the whole world, starting from Europe to going to Xi'an, China. But anyway, thank you very much.
Yes, and thank you very much for that I can share my diplomatic answer for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Bettina. And now, if there are no more questions, then we are trying to move on with Beriha.
Yeah, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, sir, but I think I'm not visible, I think.
We can see you, yeah, right. I can see you, but we can hear you. Okay, as we can understand from the message.
You can see me? Yeah, sir.
Yes.
I'll share the slides. Yes.
Ms. Beriha is having connection problems due to the weather conditions in India. So she's trying to connect.
Sir, am my slides are visible?
With our session.
No.
So can you manage it?
Yeah, sir. My slides are visible.
No, I can't see your slides.
Oh. I think it's visible.
Here it comes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So shall I start then?
Yeah, I can see your slides, and stage is yours. Please go on, please. Your presentation.
Yes, very good morning to everyone. Like, I apologize for taking such a long time, and I don't know what's happening here. Maybe some technical glitches, and inside the campus we have Wi-Fi, but I think it's not working. It's raining. So many things all together. So I apologize. So yes, first of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee, coordinator, and esteemed professors for giving me this opportunity to present my paper in this prestigious conference. So yes, my paper, it represents a historical, cultural, anthropological undertaking, and I'll be highlighting and discussing various factors for the dispersal of Bukharan Jews, along with brief history and geographies connecting to them. Yes, so my topic is connecting histories and geographies, the dispersal of the Bukharan Jews of Central Asia. So let's start with the introduction. The Bukharan Jews, like they come from the former Central Asian, that is Emirate of Bukhara, that is primarily Uzbekistan, and they are an ethno-religious Jewish subgroup of Central Asia, and they spoke a Judeo-Tajik language. In a turn, it's a variety of Persian language. And Uzbek Jews, they have two distinct communities, that is the more religious and traditional, they are the Bukharan Jewish community, and the more progressive, that is Europe is extracted Ashkenazi community. And Bukharan Jews during Soviet era, I'd like to highlight some points. Like by the time of Russian Revolution, the Bukharan Jews were one of the most isolated Jewish communities in the world. And following the Soviet capture of Bukhara, synagogues were destroyed, were closed down, and were replaced by Soviet institutions. Soviet doctrines, ideology, and nationalities policy had a large impact on the everyday life, culture, and identity of the Bukharan Jews. It was all I'm highlighting during the Soviet era. And Stalin's decision to end Lenin's new economic policy and initiate the first 5-year plan in the late 1920s resulted in a drastic deterioration of living conditions for the Bukharan Jews. And by the time Soviet authorities established their role over the borders in Central Asia in the mid-1930s, many of thousands of households from Central Asia had crossed the border into Iran and Afghanistan, amongst them like Bukharan Jews comprising like about 1/10 of the total number of Bukharan Jews in Central Asia, like who were heading towards Palestine. And the Bukharan Jews, they put efforts into creating Bukharan Jewish Soviet culture and national identity, where Stalin's Great Purge, or as part of Soviet Union's nationalities policies and nation building campaigns, were forced to assimilate into the larger Soviet Uzbek or Soviet Tajik national identities. And in the late 1980s and to the early 1990s, like almost all the remaining Bukharan Jews, they left Central Asia for the United States, Israel, Europe, or Australia in the mass emigration of Bukharan Jews from their resident lands. And Bukharan Jews after 1991, right after the disintegration of Soviet Union and foundation of the Independent Republic of Uzbekistan, 1991, where the Uzbekistan got its independence, there's some feared growth of nationalistic policies in the country and the resurgence of Islamic fundamentalism in Uzbekistan and Tajikistan prompted an increase in the level of emigration of Jews, both Bukharan and Ashkenazi. So the Bukharan Jews, they flourished and made significant contributions on the fields of science, medicines, and literature. Like they enjoyed relative prosperity and were known for their skill in various trades and crafts. However, their situation changed with the rise of the Russian Empire in Central Asia in the late 19th century. The Bukharan Jews, they faced increasing discrimination and persecution under the Russian rule. And the establishment of the Soviet Union in 1992, like they also, it brought further challenges for them. The Soviet regime, it was suppressed religious practices and attempted to assimilate ethnic and religious minorities into the dominant communist ideology. And many Bukharan Jews, they faced persecution, and some chose to emigrate to the other countries, particularly Israel and the United States during and after World War II. I'd like to draw some of the relation between the Bukharan Jews and Islam, although in the abstract also I've mentioned the same. Like since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, when the independent Muslim countries of Uzbekistan and Tajikistan emerged, there has been a mass exodus of Bukharan Jews. And the recent rise of nationalism and of Islamic extremism had been accompanied by increasing anti-Semitism, discrimination at workplaces, and looting of the property, beating of Jews, and so on. And in the late 18th and in the early 19th century, there are numerous cases of forced and semi-forced conversions of Jews to Islam in Kiev and Bukhara. And the converts and their descendants, they are called Chala. It's a Tajik version. It's a Tajik dialect, that is Chala, and it means and were and still are like ostracized by both Jews and Muslim. And it's an Uzbek term meaning neither this nor that. So referring to Bukharan Jews who were coerced into converting to Islam from the late 18th century onwards. So these Shala Jews outwardly practiced Islam but secretly retained their Jewish traditions. So these Shala Jews were unable to return to their true Jewish faith due to fatal consequences associated with the living with the Islamic faith. Like the Islamic rulership during this period imposed a death penalty against those renouncing their Islamic faith. Therefore, it was not until the emergence of Imperial Russia and Soviet rule that Chala Jews were have to revert to their original faith. So as a result, many Chala Jews illegally immigrated into Russian control areas to escape the sudden threat of death. So although Russian law required these newcomers be deported back to Bukhara and face an imminent death, the deportations orders were continuously delayed, and thus many had remained as permanent non-citizens of the Russian Turkmenistan region. So it seems that in the last 2 or 3 decades, all of them emigrated from Uzbekistan to Russia in order to avoid discrimination and find better lives. So coming to the next slides. And yes, like Jews of Arab lands in 1950s and 1960s, the Bukharan Jews, they felt marginalized because they were outside of the nationalist project. And they also feel situated on the weaker side of tense Muslim-Jewish relations. And although Muslims and Jews alike confronted many hardships, once the Russians withdrew and Uzbekistan became an independent nation, state in 1991, the Jews, they encountered greater difficulties. So the major cause, like the dispersal of the Bukharan Jews of Central Asia, like they experienced significant dispersion and migration throughout their history, no doubt, and particularly during the 20th century. So several factors contributed to this dispersion, including like political changes, religious persecution, and economic opportunities in other parts of the world. And some of the factors like Russian Revolution and Soviet era, I would say, like with the Bolshevik Revolution and the establishment of Soviet Union in 1992, The Bukharan Jews faced increasing persecution and discrimination, and the Soviet regime was suppressed religious practices and aimed to assimilate ethnic and religious minorities into the dominant communist ideology. And many Bukharan Jews, they choose to emigrate during this time, seeking refuge in other parts of the Soviet Union or abroad. Migration to the Russian Empire in the late 19th and early 20th century, some Bukharan Jews migrated to major cities within the Russian Empire, such as Moscow, St. Petersburg, seeking better economic opportunities and escaping discrimination. They established communities in these urban centers also. Emigration to mandatory Palestine, another cause, third cause, that is during the period of British rule in Palestine, 1920 to 1948, a significant number of Bukharan Jews emigrated to the region, and they were drawn by the idea of establishing a Jewish homeland and escaping the political and economic uncertainties of Central Asia. So the Bukharan Jews community in Jerusalem, for example, they grew significantly during this time. Like Soviet era and World War II, another cause, the establishment of the Soviet Union, it had a profound impact on the Bukharan Jews. Like the Soviet regime suppressed religious practices and targeted Jewish communities. And during the Second World War, many Bukharan Jews fled Central Asia to escape advancing German forces. Some found refuge in other Soviet territories, while others were evacuated to the interior of the Soviet Union. When emigration to Israel, following the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, a wave of Bukharan Jewish emigration occurred, and many Bukharan Jews facing ongoing religious and cultural restrictions under Soviet rule, they saw Israel as a heaven for their heritage and a place where they could freely practice their religion. And Israel's government actively, they encouraged this immigration. And today Israel is home to significant Bukharan Jewish community, as we all know. And migration to the United States, like it's another significant destination for Bukharan Jews. Migration was the United States, like starting in the late 1960s and continuing through the 1990s. Large numbers of Bukharan Jews emigrated to the United States, primarily settling in New York City. And they established vibrant communities in the areas like Queens and Brooklyn, where they have preserved their traditions and continue to thrive. So today, the Bukharan Jews, like there are about 150 Bukharan Jews in Israel and 60,000 in the United States, especially Queens, and which is widely known as the melting pot of the United States due to its ethnic diversity. And few thousand still remain in Uzbekistan. So the Bukharan Jews community is dispersed across various countries with significant populations in Israel, United States, and other parts of the world. And despite that dispersion, they have maintained a strong connection to their Bukharan heritage and continue to preserve their unique cultural and religious traditions in their new homes. And while their dispersal has led to a decline in the population within Central Asia, that efforts are also being made to preserve their cultural heritage and maintain connections with their ancestral homeland. And Bukharan Jews today, like one of the world's oldest Jewish communities, is facing extension amid a mass exodus to Israel and the United States. And it was once a focal point on the Great Silk Road, a powerhouse of Islamic learning, and once home for more than 24,000 Jews. Like the ancient Silk Road of Bukhara now has around 200, like thousands of Bukharan Jews emigrated because of anti-Semitic policies under the Soviet Union, and still more due to Uzbekistan's bleak economic prospects after its independence in 1991. And like with the press report as of 2022, like some 100 to 200 Bukharan Jews still remain in Uzbekistan and fewer in Tajikistan, and others they have resettled primarily in the US and Israel. While no solid statistics are available, community leaders and the press report that like 125,000 around Bukharan Jews live in Israel and 75,000 in the US. Among them, many are the children and grandchildren of immigrants from Central Asia. And despite their diaspora, the Bukharan Jews, they continue to maintain a strong sense of identity and connection to their ancestral homeland. And they have made significant contributions to their adopted countries while retaining a distinct cultural identity that sets them apart from other Jewish communities in the world. And since my work is also on formation and evolution of Russian Jewish identity, challenges and evolution, that is my PhD thesis work. I'm working on that. So I would like to, I chose this topic. And today the Bukharan Jews I felt is significantly smaller than it was in the past. And many numbers have emigrated. Many members have emigrated. Those who remain often face challenges in preserving their unique cultural and religious heritage. And efforts are being made to revitalize and preserve Bukharan Jewish traditions, including the revival of the Bukhari language, that is Judeo-Tajik language, their concerned language, and the establishment of cultural and educational organizations. Thank you for the attention. Yes, that's it.
Okay. Mrs. Beriha, thank you for your contribution. It's very beneficial, and I would like to ask attendees if there are any questions.
Oh, well, this is Cüneyt Akalın. I have questions, and maybe I can make small contributions if you.
Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Please, Professor.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very interesting presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Well, first of all, you did not tell us about Ashkenazis. I'm telling you this because we have also Ashkenazis in Turkey. Well, most of us Turkish Jews came from Spain, and that's why we call them Separats. But some of them came from the East Europe, and we call them Ashkenazis. Probably the Jews that Uzbekistan or Bukhara has, they came through Russia, from Eastern Europe, from Russia, from Poland, from Lithuania, etc., etc. Well, we have the same problem, the converted problem. I mean, what you say, shala, right?
Yes.
We call it converted politely, and more politely we use the word avdeti. I don't know if Professor Bülent, do you know the origin of avdeti? It should be an Arabic or Persian word.
Kind of Persian, yeah, right, sir.
Persian word,
yeah.
Meaning the newcomers.
Yep.
I mean, the converted word was a bit humiliating the Jewish. That's why avdeti is a nicer word. Well, we have similar problems, but happily we did not have problems with, as far as Turkey is concerned, we did not have problems with our Jewish population. Our Jewish community had some attacks from Islamic militants, two big attacks, but Turkey had a very clear policy in defending our Jews, and some of them are, I mean, most of them are very united to Turkish society. They speak perfect Turkish. They, Sepharad Jews, are good in business, very good in business, but they were not so active in political and cultural life of our country, different than Eastern European Jews. So this, that's what I was going to say. And if you want to have more about, to learn about more Turkish Jews, please contact me. I can maybe help you in this interesting work. Thank you.
So, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your cooperation, sir. Definitely, I'll contact you for my further work in PhD.
Okay. So, is there anything else you add on this, Pallavi?
Yes, sir. I'm done. I'll just stop sharing my screen. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much for your contribution, Professor Cüneyt Akılın, and thank you for your presentation, Pallavi Beriha. And once again, I would like to invite Professor Iqbal Akayev, if he is here, but I can't see he's joining to our session. So as far as I can see, we don't have Professor Iqbal Akayev. Okay. Again, if there is any contribution or any additional point, I want to ask my attendees if they have anything to add. Otherwise, I'm going to terminate this session, and I'll give 10 minutes break before starting next session. So thank you very much again for your distinguished presentations, and all the participants for being with us for this very good session. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate. Ciao.
The next section will be 12:20, actually, right?